Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you join us once again for Lights Out League Racing, and this time it's the time of the Div 2 boys for the season 32, round 7 at the Red Bull Ring here in Austria, and somebody's readied up already, and we'll be getting an absolute fucking roasting. I don't know what we can bloody do about this. The people are just so thick. Does my head in. So format for today is a sprint week. So it's a one-shot quali sprint, one-shot quali race. And if anything from the Div 1 is to go by, this is going to be an absolute cracker. And what we'll do is stay on here with David Bandit, who joined us in the chat for the Div 1 race. I get retired from the session. I think he's got some real issues. Climb up to turn 3, a bit too far on the curb here, and luckily managed to keep it within the white lines, but looked very squiffy. He's found himself down in P14 here. At the moment, AJ's running in P1, and considering he's just said in chat that he reckons going to be a last, he's not doing half bad. Hug the inside of turn 4, slap of oversteer, and loss of his rear end, which is going to compromise a bit of time here from the Cadillac. As he hugs inside of turn 6, not utilising as much of the track as he could be, as Benja and the McLaren's found himself at the front of the order now. As we're approaching turn 9, where you want to throw the car in as much as possible, no braking here. Trust your car. I think there's a bit of connection issue with Cadillac here, and Dead Carcass at the top, but Knox takes pole on the 105.3 right at the death, with a thousandth in it between him and Dead Carcass. The reserve drivers showing the others what it's all about. And nipped it at the death there, Knox. Wasn't at the top for the whole time, but was at the top when it mattered at the line. And here's your grid for this Div 2 sprint. Knox taking pole with a 105.3, a thousandth ahead of Dead Carcass. What a time. Benja and AJ on row 2. Sky Guy Terry Reds back on the track for missing a few weeks on row 3. Hot Step and Shawnee P row 4 with Dan Morrison, Philby Baggage round for the top 10. Megan and Fire 11th, 12th. Miles Kessler, Bandit and Danny 16th. Idina Rui 17th, and Cygate Gooner, Squidgy Pixel and Dead Divine all not setting a time. Be quite it's going to be quite a thing, I think, running to turn 1 here for the sprint. It's 12 laps and it's in the sunshine in the evergreen forest. Dan says he can't drive in this game. Shut up, Dan. Yes, you can. Your breath fucking stinks the amount of shit you chat half the time. Now, hopefully, we're going to have a couple of moments here while drivers just sort out their bloody strategies and fuel and whatever. We did find that there's a bit of a mix in the Div 1 race, medium hards. I suppose it depends on your driving style, but I'd say the mediums is probably the tyre to go on in the race. They were lasting a good... You could get them to do a one-stop. Yes, Dan, you've had some decent finishes on this game. Maybe it's just track specific. Yeah, it's some quite interesting sprint this. B's, they come after A's. No proof. I'll get my white glove on. I'll find you some proof. Bend over, you bitch. Now, nobody's readied up this time, thankfully. When will the Div boys ever learn? But they're all going to be chasing down Knox then, who did win the race back in Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago. Reserve driver that's come in and settled in very nicely. I'm just going to keep an eye on his pace. He's quicker than a fat kid eating a Snickers. And maybe a bit of a promotion up to Div 1 if he slightly outclasses the rest of Div 2. Good evening, Keezer Geezer. Hope you're happy with your Div 1 race. Racking up some good points for your team. Unfortunately, D missing this week, which is going to be a big blow for you, but still a long way to go in the season for that extra constructors title. I'll be waiting for Teo Reds to get this sprint underway. Like I said earlier, he's been missing for a few weeks. His wheel broke. He had to send it over to France to fix it, which is not always the place I'd say is the place to send things to get fixed. The French are very slow. He says he got spun around and had damage all race. Yeah, I don't think you're the only one though, my friend. It's especially on the first couple of laps at turn 3 and turn 4 can be very, very difficult to navigate. Gone to the extreme. Oh, we're finally getting underway now. Oh, good. Oh, good. But yeah, having a broken wind. I've broke wind. Fucking stinks. Problem with a broken wind, especially on a circle like this, it's not that much help. It can be as useful as a fishnet condom. But this is your tyre strategy, where majority starting on the mediums then. 21 drivers on the grid, which is fantastic to see, especially in the school summer holidays. There's just a handful: Carcass, AJ, Shawnee, PP, Fire, Kessler, Gunnar and Dead Divine, all starting on the hard. Collision, of course. Div 2, of course. On the formation lap, of course. It's one where you have to, this is a track where you have to stay off the curbs. Can be very tetchy when riding them. Easy to straddle them or lose control over the abrasive nature of some of them. The side gates gone into the dip as well. Oh, shots fired by Six Pompano, who's driving Terry Red's account. Starting P6 on his return, but at the moment Knox and Carcass backed that ass up. He's backed it into the wall here. Where's he going? Starting on the front row, Benja and AJ on row 2. Benja had a great race in the Div 1. Skyglide, who won the race for the professional tier last time out, with Terry Reds alongside him, Hot Step and Shawnee P. Dan Morris, Philbert Baggins are in your top 10. Meagle and Fire on row 6 with Miles reserving in the Cadillac P13. Kessler and David Bandit 14th and 15th with Danny in P16. Idina Rui, who got a podium last time out for the Challenger tier in Saudi Arabia. Starting 17th with Cygate, Gunnar, Squidgy Pixel, the Knob, and Dead Divine P21. The Knob is the Bants part, by the way. We're just waiting for everyone to get in the box and we shall see the lights start coming on. And we'll keep an eye on Benja, how he gets a good start on the line. It's 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And after the mid-season break, we get underway here in Austria for the sprint race. And it's a great start from Knox. Great start from the McLaren, going on the outside of turn 1 on Dead Carcass. Dead Carcass holds the inside though. Will everyone make it through? It doesn't look like it. There's a yellow flag. And it's Cygate hasn't got off the line. I think he's got wheel issues. Dead Divine up 5 places to P16. Idina Rui, good start to P14. Miles, the biggest loser as well, down to P20, the same as Fire. And Fire's crashed out. Did he crash out or did he? Still a yellow flag though, so no safety car. Was there carbon fibre on the floor? I'm sure 1 or 2 have lost some end plates here. As Philbert Baggins getting past Kessler. and back up to where he started. It looks like everyone's settled already as we come round lap 1. The front 3 have pulled away. Sky Guy's got ahead of AJ and Carcass, and AJ on those hard tyres. It'll take him a couple of laps just to get them up to temperature. As we go and check out Shawnee PP. Oh, good overtake there. Between turns 9 and 10, which you don't see that often. Magel, why do you cry, Magel? Up to P8. Ahead of Dan Morris. Red Bull leaving him plenty of room. He'll look trying to retake that position. Guna will go down in P17. As you can see, Squidgy Pixel has lost a wing. I wouldn't be surprised if he pits. Many overtakes as Dan Morris getting past the McLaren once again. Good exit out of turn 4 as we see Derek Carcass take the lead of the race for the first time. Both of those pretty much similar pace. I haven't seen it as close to that for a pole position for a long time. 1,000ths in it. Shawnee P and Danny Aston Martins making strides. Coming out of turn 4 and 5. As Knox. What are you doing there, Knox? Oh, that wasn't great by Knox at all. Smashes Carcass into the wall. That looks a bit naughty. And I think that'll be going to the stewards. Carcass has got a damaged wing, has missed the pit stop. So he's going to have to go round again. But they'll need to see that in the stewards room. I think Shawnee P ahead of Magel as Dan Morris now goes through on the Mercedes that's got a broken car. I think he's letting everyone past here. The reserve driver after a great start. Not happy. Dan Merck's taking a couple of knocks. Oh, you're a joker, you are, Pompano. You should come on bloody comms with me. You give me a run for the money. Knox, though, is lost out here to Benja. And Squidgy Pixel. No, it wasn't. It was their Carcass letting everyone go. That's respectful driving there for Mercedes with his damaged car. Doesn't want to impact everyone else's race. Mr. Street Circuit. Having a look on the inside of turn 9 and the McLaren of Magel. It's wheel to wheel through the final couple of corners. And he's made it stick. Great wheel to wheel through 2 difficult corners. And Kessler comes out on top for now. Squidgy Pixel up to P15. Getting ahead of David Bandit, who's done a great start to the race. P16 and ahead of his teammate. And Carcass retires in the pits. That's 3 cars already out as we're on lap 4. Didn't look great there from the Williams. Is now back in the lead of the sprint. And Benja on the outside of turn 4. Oh, Adina Rui. Maybe that's an avoiding tactic. He's not. He's gone deep. And he's got disqualified. Oh my God. Oh, he's been booted. I'll end up at the back. Anyway, Philbo Baggins is on a long walk. And he's trying to fight Dan Morris here. Dan Morris holding his inside of turn 9 though. This could be a brilliant move from the Red Bull. And it is. What an overtake. Kessler taking a quick look, trying to follow the Red Bull through. And try and capitalise on the Philbo going slightly offline. I think I had a big dose of dirty air as Dan cut across him in turn 9. Guna now up to P11 from the back. Great drive here from the Mercedes at Magel. Not able to get it back as Red Bull Dan on the outside, but a better traction on the exit. And gets themselves back ahead, but Philbo will drag down to the line into the slipstream. As Kessler looking to make a move on the inside of the Mercedes. No, the Ferrari. Mercedes bound. We go yellow flag. It's a Red Bull. It's Dan Morris. Under no pressure. Has dumped it himself in his pants and through goes Bandit. It's his own mistake, that one. We go back to the lead of the race. Check out what Benja's doing. Under threat here from Knox. And Knox will look to try bite back, climbing the hill up to turn 3. Baggins lose out a couple of positions. The lack of overtake mode as Benja starts back behind these two, leapfrogging each other as every lap goes by. Plenty of room left there by Knox on this occasion, but Benja gets himself back ahead once again. Skyglide has got AJ. Hot step on up, Terry Reds and Shawnee P all in close proximity. Teammates quite spread out here, so no teams are going to get that big points at this stage of the week. Got the feature race following this, of course. AJ running a nice P4, and at the moment will be on the podium for the professional tier for the sprint, with Knox being a reserve driver. Kessler is currently leading the way in the challenger tier, with Spielberg Baggins just behind him. Back up to see AJ now making a move on the outside of turn 3. The Audi, be careful when braking on the inside that you don't run too deep and wipe out the car. So we've got a yellow flag. It looks like it could be Shawnee P. It is Shawnee P. Shawnee's peed himself into the wall. And that's unfortunate for the Aston Martin. Oh! And his tyres lit up. And if his wing wasn't damaged, it is now. And he's dropped all the way down to P15. He's going to have to pit. And quite fortunate to bring out a safety car. And we see an overtake here from Terry Reds on the inside of turn 9. On the Alpino, he backs out of it. Hot Stepper defending well. Terry Reds fortunate not to lose a wing there. As you see, AJ and Skyglide once again. AJ trying to switch back here on the Audi, climbing up the hill. But Hot Stepper will have, Skyglide will have a dose of overtake mode. Hot Stepper will do too, and try and get a move on AJ. AJ hanging the outside once again. Divine picking himself up a nice little track limits. Shawnee P in the pits as expected with that damaged wing. Oh wow, a Hot Stepper got too hot in the corner, missed his braking point, hit the back of AJ, and he's lost an end plate as Dan Morris sets himself the fastest lap time, as both the Cadillacs have changed positions. Miles now ahead of David Bandit and Squidgy Pixel, getting ahead of Shawnee P, overtaking him in the pits. Pixel picking up penalties like he picks bogeys. Anyone used to watch Dick and Dom? Bogeys. Knox back ahead of Benja then, climbing up hill to turn 3. Knox locking up though, could go deep. Benja though just following him out the corner. Knox with that extra horsepower with overtake mode, but look at the speed of Benja here. He's going to go for it. Late move into turn 4 on the inside. Knox trying to do a switch back, but they just saw the big fat ass of the McLaren. Lapaya staying ahead once again. Great drive here from Benja, who's putting up that fight for the championship here, especially with Fleasy missing, Damon Hill not racing. Skyguide's just holding that P3 for now, as Terry Reds finally make a move on Hot Stepper. Hot Stepper's wing is damaged, of course, and now into the top 5, eyeing up that potential podium here. Terry Reds hasn't spun as of yet, but I do believe he might have just tweaked his assists. A little bit embarrassing if you do say so myself. Lock up again from the Williams at turn 3, which Benja, we saw him absolutely missile it down to turn 4, but Knox has pulled a big advantage, half a second, which is going to be a bit of a time to gain down to turn 4. And with 2 laps to go, this sprint win is on a knife edge. And is giving us a little bit of an appetizer for the race. Miles and Bandit at it once again. Shawnee P 1059, fastest lap for the sprint as Bandit getting his nose back ahead of his teammate. Goes slightly deep, but he's got a good enough gap to stay ahead as now. But Miles, is he going to go for it? At turn 6, no, just pulls out of it. Very clever driving. Squidgy Pixel getting done there by the Aston Martin. Shawnee P, who's on a charge on those new tyres. AJ hoping that the hard tyres at this stage of the race are the better ones to be on, as Dead Divine on the same tyre strategy, right on the gearbox of Danny, but he does have that track limits penalty which compromise a potential position. Philby Baggins and Kessler on this penultimate lap of the sprint. Can hardly separate them. They've been stuck together for pretty much the whole of the sprint race, as Miles and David Bandit at it once again. Terez has just slightly dropped back of this battle for P3. As we've got one more bite of the cherry now, if you want to gain a position. If I was Benja, if I was AJ, or AJ's had a moment somewhere, he's dropped back a couple of tenths here from Skyglide, and that will not help his chances for getting himself onto the official sprint podium. Benja's also dropped back from Knox. Have they both been conserving battery? Benja, I don't know if he dropped out of overtake mode. I think he was just in it. But Knox has put the hammer down. He's knocking on the door to a sprint win. Benja's not close enough to close down here at turn 4. You'd probably say this is his final moment. Lock up again from the Williams. Gained himself 4 tenths on the approach to that corner. Maybe a lunge at turn 9. Oh, it's going to be a difficult one, and the tyres will be. Why'd you leave, Fire, you knob? You know there's more racing to come, and I can't, buddy, ruin the end of this race now because I have to invite you. Around the final corner, Knox will take the win in the sprint for Austria. And Benja will take the P1 for the professional tier. Congratulations to both of them. Skyglide P3, AJ P4, and we'll end up on the podium for the sprint. Terry's 5, Hot Stepper 6, Schooner 7, Kessler P8, and the P1 for the Challenger tier. Philby Baggins will take the P2 in the sprint for the Challenger tier, and Magel in the McLaren will come home and take the P3 in the sprint and finish in the top 10. Danny 11th, Dead Divine 12th. Miles and will finish ahead of his teammate 13th and 14th respectively. Shawnee with that fastest lap. He's got no nose. Will come home and finish P15. And then Squidgy Pitchell overtaking Dan 16th and 17th. Ow. I've just been kicked by the dog. Rude. And this is your sprint result with Knox taking the win. 8 tenths ahead of Benja. Skyguide and AJ. 3rd, 4th for Terry Reds, Hot Stepper, Gunnar Kessler, Philby Baggins and Magel rounding off your top 10. Danny and Dead Divine 11th and 12th with Miles and Bandit 13th and 14th. Shawnee P15th with a 105.9 fastest lap. Dan Morris 16th. Squidgy Pixel 17th. Dare Carcass 18th. But he DNF'd along with Cygate and Fire. Wah. And we shall now have a few moments while drivers just sort out their strategy for a one-shot quali again. Okay, Dan. No worries, mate. No worries, mate. No worries. Fine. If anyone wants to shoot fires at Squidgy Pixel, you're more than welcome. Apparently he's got some beef and doesn't realise that everything that is said is in jest for the point of entertainment and just needs to calm his tits. As we get underway with Quali once again. Let's have a look who we're going to go on. We're on with Philbo Baggins. As he comes out of turn 1, crosses line 2, put his straight line mode on, climbing up the hill towards turn 3 where we see plenty of exits. Hug the left hand side without riding the curb too much. Clip the apex, go wide on the exit. A little bit of oversteer, which is going to cost them a couple of tenths as we go downhill, carrying plenty of speed. Again, avoid the curb on the left hand side as it will hamper your speed on the exit. Dan and Sargate both retiring from Quali. Round turn 6s and 7. Avoid going deep and into the gravel. And in sector 2. Don't go deep at turn 8, otherwise you will invalidate. As we go through the final couple of corners, this lap finishes up and creeps up on you quite quickly. Round turn 9, he's gone quite deep at the corner, but throws his car in turn 10. You can see he's pushed as hard as he can, open up the wing once again, as Dead Carcass takes pole this time round. Just misses out on pole in the sprint, but ends up getting it this time round after a not so great first sprint pole. 105.0. Not quite as quick as the Div 1 boys, but that's expected. 600s ahead of Guna, joining him on the front row. Knox with start P3 alongside Benja with Shawnee P, Sky Guide 5th and 6th. Terrace 7th with Hot Stepper 8th. Philbo Baggins will take pole for the professional tier alongside AJ and P10. Fire and Danny 11th and 12th in Miles and Kessler 13th, 14th. Idina Rui, Squidgy Pixels 15th, 16th with David Bandit, Magel, Dan Morris and Sargate, the only drivers not to set a time. Now we'll have a couple of moments while drivers just sort out their strategies, fuel loads, and as we prepare for the 36 lap feature race. And what we'll do is we'll go through and get the league standings and just keep you updated on that. I'll just bring it up for you. So we'll start with the Div 2 standings, and at the moment Fleasy's leading the way by 29 points over Skyglide, but of course Fleasy is missing, so his lead is going to get chopped big time, and Skyglide needs to capitalise, and especially with a sprint week, plenty of points on offer. He's closely stalked by Benja, who's only 4 points behind Skyglide, and then we've got Shawnee, AJ not far behind, so it's very tight for that Div 2 title. Leading the way in the professional tier, of course, would be Fleasy as well, but he's only got a 10-point lead on Sky Guide. Benja, AJ and Shawnee P, again, they're going to have big say in how this championship unfolds. For the challenger tier, Kessler is currently leading the way after a great couple of results. He's 9 points ahead of Sygate, and Sygate, he really needs to get some points on the board to bring the fight and potentially claim his first championship. Idina Rui in the Audi, 30 points behind the front two, with Fire and Magel and Dead Divine all chomping at the bit. In the constructors, Cadillac are leading the way, and Bandit, the full-time driver, holding up the team at the moment, but he needs some help from Miles. Constructors get half points from reserve drivers, so it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain the points at the top, but they only are 10 ahead of the Audi team, which overall looking very strong in both divisions. McLaren, Magel and Benja put some good performances in today. Can they do another? in the feature race. Those in the chat, let me know who you reckon's going to be winning in this race. Who's going to be finishing on the podium? I'm going to go Dead Carcass to win it. I think he was unlucky in the sprint and obviously crashed down, retired. I'm going to go for Benja P2 and Knox P3. I think Benja will want to try and fight back some of the honour from the sprint. I'm gonna go Philbo Baggins. I think Philbo Baggins is going to take the win for the Challenger tier. And those that aren't familiar with us, we've got two divisions. I'm currently racing the Div 2 boys, and each division split into two tiers. So the top 11 drivers in Div 2 is the professional tier. The second 11 is the Challenger tier. One from each tier is put into a constructors team to try and make it more balanced. Shut up, Dan. As we get underway on the formation lap, you're not dropping down. So a bit of a split. Quite a few choosing to do the alternate strategy. Saw how effective it was with George in the... what's the fuck? But others starting on the medium, so it's going to make an interesting race. One stop is possible, depending on the race conditions. Red Bull Ring was more or less created in 1995-96. That then was called the A1 Ring. And F1 arrived there a year later in 97, where Jacques Villeneuve won. And those that are quite familiar with that race, John Lacey had a spectacular crash with the Benetton. In his Benetton, climbing over Eddie Irvine's Ferrari, rest in peace, the Irishman. And Lacey's teammate Gerhard Berger on his home race decided to announce his retirement. Dead Carcass in the gravel many times. What's your problem? And this says a 4.3 kilometre clockwise circuit, even longer if you're going off track. 10 corners, 7 to right, 3 to left with 4 straight line mode sections. Dead Carcass on pole alongside his teammate for today. Knox and Benja on row 2 is Shawnee P and Skyguide on row 3. Terry Reds and Hot Stepper 7th and 8th. Philbo Baggins 9th with AJ round off the top 10. His teammate just behind him in 11th with Danny and Miles 12th and 13th. Kessler P14. Idina Rui alongside Squidgy Pixel, the knob. 17th for Bandit. Magle alongside him in P18 with Dan Morris, Cygate and Dead Divine at the rear. Carcass has got a big defence, but he's missed his pit box, so he's going to hamper his start off the line. It is a 240 metre run down from pole to turn 1 breaking point. It's 3, 4, 5. The feature race here in Austria, Div 2 is away we go. And it's a good start from both Mercedes. Knox looks like he's not had the greatest start. Benja just slots beside him. And Guna takes the lead of the race ahead of his teammate. Hot Stepper went deep. He went hot in turn 1. Cut the corner. And I don't think there was too much damage done. Shawnee P and Skyglide, biggest losers there, losing 3 places. Dead Divine now down to P20, 21 if you count. He's just been done by Squidgy Pixel. Magle up 4 places as well as Cygate. AJ up to P6 as well, with Terry Reds up to P4. Could Terry get himself on a podium? Jury's out. As we go through the middle sector of lap 1, and it looks like potentially it's all just calming down a bit. Skygate staying ahead of Dan Morris in P16. The Squidgy Pixel now up ahead of Idina Rui, who needs to be doing better than that if he wants to fight for that Challenger tier. Quick look there from Shawnee P on Hot Stepper. Skyglide in the Audi was squeezed between 2 cars. As we go back ahead and see if Knox is going to take Carcass at turn 1. Oh, misses his braking point, just taps the back of the Mercedes. Thankfully doesn't look like any damage is done. No damage to his wing either. There's Dan Morris and Cygate squabbling once again for P16. Skyglide and Shawnee P. Skyglide on the inside. Comfortable move there for the Audi. The medium tyre should be the better tyre at this stage of the race. Kessler waving his hand at Magel. Hey, what are you doing here? Where are me cheesy meatball? Fire and Philbo Baggins. Both Challenger tier drives, of course. This is for potential podium, potential Challenger win. At the moment, Philbo Baggins with his nose just ahead. As Danny dives on through on fire, and brilliant move from the Aston Martin, who's putting his name in the hat for the win here. Looks like Fire's just slightly compromised here as Miles has closed right on the back of the Visa Carb. Dan Morris having a great squabble again as Fire into the pits. Just looking a little bit squirrely there on entry. Sped in the pit lane, I'm sure he's going to be retiring now. It's a sort of pit entry that looks like someone's going to retire. Fucking boo! Gooner still in the lead of his teammate. Benja and Terry Reds. Admin rivals. Terry Reds has had slight collision as his car just ghosted a little bit. And Benja now up to P4. Terry Reds just needs to get comfortable here as we see Skyglide on the inside of AJ. AJ looking at, oh, just a little bit too much on the throttle there from the Visa Carb. And nearly wiped himself out into the wall. Managed to compose himself and get good control of his car. But he's got the Aston Martin of Shawnee P right up his exhaust. He goes on the inside at 7. AJ had the speed though to keep the position. But Shawnee P on the outside heading towards turn 9 with the ADA straight line mode. AJ's got a damaged wing, so it looks like he's going to have an early pit stop here. Not the strategy that he needed. He's speeding into the pits, he's going to retire. Oh, here we go again. Cilla Black's come back. Surprise, surprise. Jump back and see Knox speed. Oh, okay, and there we go. He's out of there, and it's a safety car. And I don't think that was the greatest of move from Dare Carcass. And I reckon if I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to say that was a return from the sprint race where I think both drivers are going to potentially be punished for that. That did not look good from the Mercedes at all. And the safety car is out. Not good, that. Not good. Not a good representation of this league at all. Both drivers will potentially have that looked into a bit more and be reprimanded. The one whose drivers going to the pits then, and those on the mediums probably thinking it's a good time to do so as Sygate retires. He's crashed out on turn 9. I think he's had wheel troubles. So those that on the mediums, or most of the mediums, are choosing to pit then. There's a mixture going on a set of second mediums and those going on a set of hards. Hards will not get you to the end, so they will have to pit once again. So it's an interesting call. But they will have 5-lap fresher tyres here. Gooner, former Challenger tier champion, now running the professional tier after his promotion. And currently leading the way so far, showing some fantastic pace and keeping ahead of the likes of Carcass and Knox. It's no mean feat at all, but what that does is promotes a few people up to positions, and we've got Miles and Squidgy, Pixel, Magel, Dead Divine and Bandit all once they're out of position, but they're going to be in the middle of the safety car with some quicker cars behind them. Terry Reds out of those that are pit, the one that's ahead, he's managed to get ahead of Skyglide, crucially enough, which is quite interesting. I think Skyglide might have been held up in the pits. Out of that, he's got a fresh wing on. It's the first safety car we've seen this week Is a slim chance in comparison, 50% chance of a safety car. So toss of a coin and out comes one, and it was a very wasn't the greatest of moves. At all. I don't know, his car just catching up to the pack now, and safety car should be in this lap. And it'll be interesting to see where Gunnar pulls the trigger. It should let us know if it's coming in just ahead of turn 7. Oh, it's let us early. Okay. So Gunnar slowing up the pack then, bunching it up. You have to maintain a constant speed. You can't concertina the pack. You've got to wait for the safety car to go into the pits. And you can't overtake, of course, until the timing line. Overtake mode will not be active until the second lap. So it's crucial that he gets a good exit. And there should be some big points on offer for the Mercedes team today. Their Carcass just sticking with his teammate right on his exhaust. He can smell what he had for dinner yesterday. And he tries to put some heat in the tyres. Those in the hards behind these two will need to be working hard, doing a lot more weaving. It'll take a little bit more time for them to get some temperature in. Gunnar's going late here. He's gone now. Just thought his teammate's slightly napping, but not enough. And fire, of course. Penalty for fire. Too feisty on the throttle. As Kessler ahead of Philby Baggins then up to P15. Carcass climbing the hill behind his teammate. Sky Guy getting past Terry Reds already. Terry Reds not having the best of restarts. Both on the same tyre strategy. As we see David Brent just riding the curb a bit too much on the exit of the corner. Managed to keep control of it though. And keeping that P10. There's Danny on the inside of the Red Bull of Dan Morris. Dan Morris though with a better tyre compound. Great overtake ahead of turn 6. And keeps that P13 for now. As Sky Guide dispatching David Bandit, who hasn't pit as yet, as Terry Reds follows through as well. Not just on track but in his pants. Explains why he smells like shit. Bandit go deep at 9. As looks like Dan Morris trying to force his way through. He does. Up to P12. Another Red Bull. Is it sandwiched the Cadillac by both the Red Bull and the Haas of Kessler. Kessler, Red Bull. The Haas getting ahead of the Red Bull. Red Bull though not giving this up at all as Sky go past Dead Divine. Those without those fresh tyres as Dead, Carcass and Benja exchange position. Hot Stepper up to P2 now. And looking very racy. Good thing with Gunnar though, he's kind of similar to what Benedict did in the previous race. He's broken himself a little bit of a gap at the front, and if he can keep that gap going, we'll put him in good position to potentially claim the win in this race. But he's got their Carcass all over his rear wing, and they're looking to make the overtake at turn 1. And there's nothing the Alpine can do as of yet, apart from fight back afterwards. Skyglide passing Magel then. Those that haven't pit find it quite difficult to. Italian hand gesture for fire. Spend the pit lane once again as Terry Reds on those fresh rubbers. Only 4 laps though. Fresher past Dead Divine, goes deep. And Terry Reds has the inside. And up to the top 10 once again for the Haas driver. Squidgy Pixel losing out to okay, lose out a couple of positions to Skyglide. Was that Skyglide going in too hot on the inside, or was that Squidgy Pixel turning in? Only their onboards will tell us the answer, but Squidgy Pixel down now to P12. That's with a good exit out of turn 8. Reds means business today. It's been a while since been fighting near the front. Hot step on down to P4. Back up to 3. Back down to up to 3. Benja down to 5 as Shawnee P goes through. Oh, this is a cracking battle here for P2. As the Alpina hot stepper on the inside of Dead Carcass. Dead Carcass, so great traction on the exit. Hot steppers compromised on the exit of his corner. Shawnee P now into the top 3. Cracking drive for the Aston Martin. He's pretty much come out of nowhere here. One of the drivers still yet to pit, but they've gone for track position. Dan Morris passing Squidgy Pixel, who's gone off track. Slight nudge on Dead Divine. It's Noah's Ark then, 2x2 for the Red Bulls and the Ferrari. Spielberg Baggins stuck behind his teammate. Well, his teammate let him go. You know, I love a bit of team play here as Squidgy Pixel trying to advance here on the Red Bull of Dead Divine. Spielberg Baggins, of course, now a reserve driver taking over from Dingleberry Bum Tagnuts. As we see Kessler now up to P9 ahead of Magel. Hassov. Terry Reds has got no nose. As Fever Wagons does get past his teammate now because he's got no nose. Squidgy Pixel just hanging on the outside, but it's got nowhere to go really, so just has to let off. Wheel to wheel action between Divine and Baggins. Baggins though with the better exit on fresher tyres and gets himself up to P12 and looking to battle for that challenger P1 position. Oh, the locking wheels here. Divine and Baggins. Divine's off. I think, to be fair, I think Divine lost traction and probably clattered the Ferrari. And he's ended up in the wall, P15 now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does pit. Fire says his wheels screwed him up. Fair play. See if you can get it sorted for next week, mate. Dan Morris around the gearbox of Kessler once again. Within that distance of overtake mode where his challenger ahead does not. The Aston Martin and the Mercedes go off track, which has opened the door for a hot stepper to go past the Mercedes. Skygo's gone past Benja up to P5 now. Cluster of cars at turn 3. And all the while he's battling, Guna is now 3.5 seconds ahead. Had some great practice in the Div 1 race, and it's coming a cropper in the Div 2. Skygo and Benja once again. Benja on the outside of turn 4. It looks like the Audi is just ahead. Maybe where he found himself, the risk of pitting for him and Terry's and Kessler was probably the good choice. They're all looking very racy here. My guy goes in and have a look at turn 9. Not close enough as of yet. This is a cracking battle, and we'll keep an eye on Shawnee P on Dead Carcass. We'll have that overtake mode. It's all about harvesting battery here. As Hot Stepper steps down to P5. Sky Guy goes on through now. The Audi up to P4. As Kessler passing Miles. Miles doing well to hold on to where he was, considering he was slightly out of position as well. Cadillac putting in a great performance. The Sky Guy now ahead of Shawnee P. Oh, Benja on the inside of turn 3. I don't know if he's got too much damage. He's still got his full wing, so if anything, he's got a really light green wing, but finds himself down in P6. Not out of it as yet, but Terrorez capitalises on Benja's slight lack of speed, and the Haas driver now, is he going to hold on to that P6? He does. Keeps hold of it at turn 6. Terrorez in the position here for potential podium as well. There's 7 drivers here that could all finish on the podium. Red's taking a quick look at 9. If you're on the inside though, you have to brake. And it's very risky because the driver ahead of you will be throwing the car into the corner. Red's compromised on the final corner, and Benja making a move then on the inside of turn 1. Done. Easy. Skyglide now up to P2 and on a roll here, the Audi. No holds barred. And now 4 seconds down the road is Gunnar, who's on some old dead carcass, going too hot at turn 3. It's gone deep, and that's cost him a couple of positions. These medium tyres are probably getting a little bit ropey at this stage of the race. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him and the likes of Gunnar pit in about 3 laps time, maybe, if they can eke their tyres out. Magel, Philby Baggins having a good squabble here. And Philby Baggins staying ahead of the McLaren, or is he? He is, and Squidgy Pixel on the inside. This could be a brilliant overtake, but well hung on the outside from McLaren. The Ferrari had to pull out, otherwise he would have ended up probably in the gravel. Shawnee P picking up a track limits. Those with those penalties are going to struggle. Miles in the pits then, early pit stop. And it's going a little bit grey here. Are we expecting maybe some rain coming? And is Miles potentially looking to go on to some intermediates? This will be an interesting watch here. Miles and Dead Divine. Mediums. And mediums. They're definitely on 2-stop then. They're not going to get to the end on these. But it's looking a little bit grey here. We may see a drop of rain. So those that did stay out, it may be a stroke of genius for them. As Bandit gets himself a track limits as well. Down in P60 in the Cadillac. And still behind his teammate. 2 seconds now, the gap between the leader and Skyglide in P2. Skyglide an absolute charge here. And Gunnar will be looking into his mirrors, looking at his telemetry, and we'll be trying to push as much as he can, but it looks like a little bit of blue sky there, so I don't think any rain is imminent, but potentially if rain is expected, maybe Hardsware the best compound to start on. We'll check out Squidgy Pixel making a move on. Magel at turn 1, great overtake from the Ferrari and up to P11. Magel will try and fight back on the climb uphill to turn 3. On the inside. Squidgy Pixel, a little bit of wheel banging, but always expected that tight corner. Magel with his nose just ahead. It's a drag race down to turn 4. And Magel has to slot in behind the Ferrari for now, as Danny is just in the vicinity. Magel on the outside of turn 6. Oh, what a move from the McLaren. Better run out of the right-handed corner. And yeah, this stage of the race on these tyres, Magel's probably on the better compound. Squidgy pitch on the inside of turn 9 though. Oh, that wasn't great from Pixel. And that's sometimes why the tears come out. Making moves like that, if your tyres aren't up to it, you clatter with the car ahead. And Magel, unfortunately him, doesn't miss out. Wheel to wheel with Danny though through turn 1. Brilliant driving from both as Danny tries to make a move here on the McLaren, who leaves him minimal space. But Aston Martin now up to P11. And just bide his time, Danny. And at the moment is running in P3. A yellow flag. Oh, it's Terry Reds. Strikes once again. More spinning than on a bike in spin class. He's a fucking Morris dancer. Go back to your village fate. Terry's dropped down to P9. I think he'll be pretty gutted with that. He's on some fresher tyres compared to a lot of other drivers. And he's dropped it at turn 4. Battle for P1 here. Skyglide, as we're halfway through this race, after pitting under the safety car, is now battling for the race win here. Or potential better exit out of. This should be an easy move with Gunnar on 17 lap old medium tyres. I think Gooner's trying to hold out as long as he can for, it looks like, some potential rain. But there's nothing he can do to defend that. And Skygo now into the lead of the race for the first time. Shawnee P just running with a bit of breathing space in P3, but he does have the penalty. So Dead Carcass just behind, but he's on those used mediums, which is going to be very difficult at this stage of the race. Hot Stepper and Benja all over his grill. Benja in the best position at the moment. Has a look on the inside of Hot Stepper. This could be brave from the McLaren. Hot Stepper steps out of the way. Does not want to compromise his own race, and benching out to P5. And we'll have a dose of overtake mode here on the Mercedes ahead too. And is on the better tyre and will go as long as he can on these hards. Dan Morris testing the white lines. Oh, look at the speed there the McLaren had. And gets himself up to P4 and into a potential podium position with penalties from Shawnee P ahead. Terry's and Kessler exchanging positions, and Terry's now up to P7. Dan Morris, though, wanting to follow through as well. Kessler going on the defence to the Red Bull, but the Red Bull on the inside of Kessler at turn 4. Kessler find back, though. Dan just trying to close the door slightly, leaving just enough room, and Dan with his elbows out up to P8. Good overtake there from the Red Bull. Keep an eye on their Carcass, though. He's pushing Benja's Hot Steppers, just slightly left a bit of room. This should be a move going up to turn 3 here. Now Kessler's already made the overtake going up to turn 1. We'll jump back and see Dead Carcass. Oh, he's had a compromise exit out of turn 1. And this could open the door here for Hot Stepper, who has a look on the outside. Carcass just drifts over onto the racing line. I don't think it was a defensive action. Hot Stepper was going in deep. He's going again. Have a look on the outside here of turn 4. The Mercedes defending the inside, leaves him loads of room. And I think as Gooner losing out here to Shawnee P. Carcass stays just ahead of the Alpine. Gooner now just slightly dropping back as Shawnee P, which would be the better tyre compound now up to the second spot. 3-second gap for Skyglide. This is the finish that he needed today to try and put his hat in the ring for the Div 2 title. Their Carcass is, I think, struggling now on these tyres. Is there space? I wonder if there is rain coming. The fact that these guys on the mediums have not pit yet. Looks like there's going to be moisture in the air. But those on the mediums are struggling, and Hot Stepper goes on through. And just 2.3 seconds behind. And we'll watch that gap drop as every corner goes by. Kessler and Terry Reds working together here. Try and close the gap on Dead Carcass. Both on way better tyres than Carcass would have. One thing Carcass will have for him is the overtake mode, but he will struggle in this middle sector, trying to keep his tyres gripped to the asphalt. And Terred's now in that 1 second mode, so he'll have his dose of overtake mode to charge down for this P5. Carcass struggling, he's got himself track limits. Yeah, definitely struggling. Him, Gooner and Squidgy Pixel all will be testing their skill level. As Benja now 1.5 seconds behind Gooner, as Magel is in the pits then. Is he the first one to go onto some potential intermediates here? It's looking very overcast. I think I've seen some green. And he's doing it, so there's the trigger. Is it a lap too early? I haven't seen any drops of rain yet. I haven't got my glasses on. Is it a little too early, or has he just pulled the trigger and just taken maybe a lap of pain because his tyres are worn? But he's the first driver to pull the trigger, and maybe one or two others around him might follow suit, but I can't see any rain yet. Haas boys doing well here, and Terry Reds has just gained about 6/10 on Carcass coming out the final corner. Terry Reds has got to use some skill here, choose his moment to make the overtake. As Bilbo Baggins is in, whoa, Carcass has got a puncture. As expected, he's gone as long as he can. Oh, and unfortunately for Kessler, that was unfortunate. There's nothing Carcass can do. He couldn't stop his car, and he's trying to go as long as he can on these mediums. As they see some drops of rain coming down now. Ideally, we're in the pits too, and he's going to limp back to the box. Not the best week here for the reserve driver. He's missed his braking point. He's tried to go too deep, and he's clattered the wall. Managed to get it into reverse. He needs to nurse it down back to the pits here. Gunnar has to be careful. Squidgy Pixel has to be careful as well. I'm pretty sure they're going to go into the pits and get these intermediates on. Skyguide's carried on, as has Shawnee P. Benja is in, Gunnar is in, Hot Stepper is in, Terry Reds is in, Kessler's in as well. He's got 3-second gap, so that should be enough to not double stack too much. Dan Morris is in. This could be a big say on how this podium and race is going to shape up. Skyglide struggling. Skyglide span. He's got dipped his rear wheel into the grass, and it's a mistake for him. Shawnee P struggling. This rain started coming down. Straight motor boost is deactivated already. This is probably a big mistake from the front two. Benja's come out in P3 and potentially net P1 ahead of Gunnar. Yellow flag. It's the Mercedes of Carcass still struggling to get in the pits. He's pushing it too hard here. He needs to nurse it. He's being a bit silly here, and if he's trying to force a safety car, he's going to get an absolute belting. Bendit's in the pits now to finally put on some intermediates himself. Oh, this is probably the biggest mistake by these two. Just tiptoeing around this rain. It was teasing. It was teasing. And it's come down in the space of a few corners. You can see how hard it is to brake. And they're both making sure they don't get some stupid penalties here. There's Benji coming around the final couple of corners. Gunnar and Hot Stepper drifting round onto the curb. And Skyline's just coming out the pits as Benja goes past. Yellow flag as the Mercedes of Carcass comes out on some hard tyres. Oh my god. Oh my god, what an idiot. Shawnee P. Oh, Shawnee P's come out on mediums as well. Oh, rookie move for the PP. Oh, that's compromised any chance of a podium for the Aston Martin driver. Unless he's expecting this rain not to be that bad and he thinks fresh slicks will do him. Yellow flag as everyone starts lapping the Mercedes, letting everybody go. But Benja in the lead of this race then for the first time. Gunnar on his rear wing alongside Hot Stepper. Skyglide, after his late pit stop, has come out in P4. He's shown he's got some big pace. He's got Terry Reds all over the back of him, which his tyres will be of a better temperature. Shawnee P, you will see him drop down the order. Can Terry Reds make a move here on Skyglide? This will be interesting. Gunnar's retaking the lead of the race, or has he? He has, and Hot Stepper on the inside of turn one. Who's going to hold their nerve? Benja has to pull out of that. Great move from Hot Stepper. Great aggressive driving to get himself up into the P2 spot. Benja, though, with that battling, has brought Skyglide and Terry Reds into play. Derek Carcass has retired in the pits after making a mistake on his pit stop. Shawnee P in the pits. Now that does promote Miles up into the top 10. Squidgy Pixel, if he can get himself past Shawnee P, he's just coming out of the pits now, which he's not. Not quite into the top then for the Ferrari yet. Phil Baggins has found himself down P15. What happened to him? I think he's struggling a bit as he's trying to make a move here on Dead Divine. Of course, there's no like straight mode. Here it is just your own battery to use, which you've got to manage. Jump in and have a check on Skyglide, who's putting pressure on the McLaren with 10 laps to go. Terry Reds. Terry sheds penalties. I didn't really getting past Squidgy Pixel, then up to P12. Gunnar thwarting off Hot Stepper's charge here, but has he got enough in his tank to do so? He's holding the outside line on turn 3. Hot Stepper, the Alpine on the inside, has to back out. The Mercedes goes deep, goes onto the curb. They're going to drag race down to turn 4 though. At the moment the Alpine's got his nose ahead. Who's got the better setup on straight line speed? At the moment it's the Alpine who's got his nose just ahead. Left plenty of room there for the Mercedes, who's trying the switch back but doesn't have the traction to get himself back ahead. And Hot Stepper now into the lead of the race, and he'll be cursing this penalty. Terry Reds trying to fight there with Skyglide, putting pressure on him to try and force him into a mistake. Dan Morris here in P7, trying to force a mistake on the other Haas. Both Dans with penalties, 7th and 8th. As it stands, Kessler will take P1 in the Challenger tier with Danny and Magel joining him on the podium, but it can all change in the next 8 laps or so. Skyglide running here in P4. Anyone that's watching, how do you reckon it's going to fold? Who's going to take that top step? At the moment it's falling to Gunnar, and the front two have just slightly pulled away as Dan Morris now dispatching Kessler on the inside of turn 4. They're going to go wheel to wheel through 5 and 6. Kessler has the inside, but Dan carrying more speed. He's just hanging it out there. He'll carry more speed through turn 7 as well, of what you can in these conditions, and go himself ahead up to P6. Contrary to his own belief, he's doing very well in this race. And he's just holding off the Haas for now. Gunnar now slightly adrift of Hot Stepper. Hot Stepper, if he can get himself a 3-second gap, and I think it's a 3 second. Oh, it's 9 seconds. Dickhead. Hot Stepper's not winning this race. So at the moment, Gunnar's leading the way. Team Audi for the win, says Portuguese. He's not far off, but Gunnar's got some good pace on him. And Hot Stepper's got 9 seconds of penalties. So at the moment, Skyglide, Idina Owie running P12 isn't in the podium positions for the Challenger tier, but will be racking up some points for the Audi overall Constructors Championship, which is in Audi's hands as it stands. Hot Stepper's found his fine form, and he needs to get another 7 seconds here. It can 7 laps to go, a second a lap. It's a big ask. Benja falling back into the clutches of Skyglide here though. And Terry Reds. Terry Reds' best performance of the season so far, but he has put a couple of assists back on. The other Haas just staying with Dan for the time being. And check out the Ferraris. And Squidgy Pixel just pulling back a bit, but it's closing in on Dead Divine. It's a lot more difficult to overtake in these conditions because you don't have the extra assistance that you normally need with the boost and the straight line mode. You do have your own battery though, and it's how you manage that. In these conditions it should be easy to reserve some of your battery. A lot of lifting and coasting is required. It's just fell back once again after a tricky couple of corners. Kessler in the dirty air through turns 5 and 6. Struggling to keep it on line behind Dan. So Dan, if he can just get himself up the road a little bit, he might be able to consolidate this P6. Guna holding off Benja by 2.5 seconds. This is a fine performance and could be Guna's first Div 2 win and first professional tier win. Long-headed Mac Daddy. Skyglide, not as easy to do in the wet. And putting so much pressure on the McLaren. McLaren getting himself on the elite podium in the Div 1 race to get himself on the official Div 2 and professional tier podium. Skyglide just using all his might to try and avoid the back of the McLaren. Just braking a little bit later than the Papaya car. Terry Red's just not able to stick. A little bit of funny sounding revs there. I'm just missing a change of gear. Keep an eye on this battle. Oh, snap there from Skyglide. He's pushing hard, trying to get past Benja. But Benja, this season, stepped up his ability and continuity. But here goes Skyglide. This is the moment where he's going to make a move on the inside of turn 3. It just hasn't got enough. Lots of rear ends, compromises exit, and breathing space for Benja. Terry Reds doing what Terry Reds does and struggles. Feels quietly spread out at the moment. Magel 2 seconds behind Danny. Needs to stay within that penalty range to gain himself not only position on track but in the challenger tier. Kessler's got about 7.5 seconds gap to Danny, and looks very strong to finish in that P1 in the challenger. But Danny and Magel, who will finish up in which position on the podium, we'll find out in 3 laps time. Back to this battle here. Terry Reds is now actually doing some bits and has closed the gap on this battle for P3. Shawnee PP'd himself, and here we go. Skyglide looking too far ahead. Terry Reds doesn't like the jeer and the jibes. Has gone fuck you and is up to P4. Great overtake from the Haas. The Haas is back. The former Div 1 driver dropped down this season to Div 2. Tried it with taking the majority of his assists off, has struggled, broke his wheel, dips his wheel in the grass, and through goes Skyglide once again. Mistake from the Haas. Terry Red's favourite steak is a rump steak because he loves eating the ass of a man. About 4.3 seconds gap here. Hot stepper, he needs another 4.5 seconds or so. I don't think he's going to do it. He's doing it all he can, though. So Gunnar just needs to keep his head down, avoid any mistakes, and he'll take the win here in a very difficult conditions. Sky Guy did not like that move from Terry Reds, did he? Instantly took it back. I think knowing the support of his fellow Audi teammates in the chat, he'll be doing as much as he can to get himself on the podium. At the moment, I don't know if he's within that 9 seconds. 7.983. He's just teetering around that 9-second mark here. Skyglide. It's going to be close. He might even get on the podium here. It could be, if Hot Stepper pumps in these last couple of laps, could be a masterclass to get himself on the podium here. And I think he is, at the moment, on for potential P3. Sky Guy, though, fine here with Benja once again. Has to pull out, and all the while they're battling. This will be news to the ears of Hot Stepper. Terez has dropped back and he's put all his eggs in one basket. As we're now on the penultimate lap, he's not going to make any more advances than where he currently is, I think. Dan Morris, I think, settled now in P6. Kessler dropped back to nearly 4 seconds. Magel closing the gap on Danny. McLaren with a fine performance this week. Both cars finishing in the top 10, maybe even in the top 8. Well, will be in there if he can get it to the end of the race as it stands, because he'll jump Danny. So 2 drivers are potentially in the top 8 for McLaren. That's a cracking job. And then same for the Haas, 5th and 7th. Great team points in play here. Let's go and have a look here at Idina Rui, who's closing in on Shawnee P. Shawnee P, probably a race that he'd like to forget. And this could be a potential overtake here from the Audi, which again, Portuguese will be music to his ears. As we are on the final lap now. The car of Hot Stepper approaching turn 3. See if Aldinari can make this move. Now Skyglide making a last attempt here on Benja at turn 3. He's probably got one more shot, and I don't think he's going to do it. No, I think that's it, and he's probably now settled then for that P4. Hot Stepper coming round, final couple of corners through turn 8, avoid getting any more penalties, and he's probably kicking himself that he can't drive better because he's gone off the track too many times. Got himself 9 seconds of penalties, but I think he'll be absolutely thrilled to cross the line in P1 and take those bragging rights. Congratulations to the Alpina Hot Stepper, great race from him. But Gunnar, round the final couple of corners, round to our final corner now, will cross the line and takes P1 here in the Austria GP in Div 2. Benja puts up a massive fight and claims Hot Stepper's actually finished in P2. The battle between Benja and Skyglide has taken P2. Benja's come home in P3, so we'll take, that's your standings for the professional tier. Skyguy P4, Terez P5, Dan Morris P6, Kessler's P7, and we'll take P1 in the challenger tier. Magel will come home P8 and P2 in the challenger. Danny P9 in the challenge, P3 in the challenger. Miles will finish in the top 10. Congratulations from the reserve driver, best result of the season for him. Idina Rui gets jumped by Philbert Baggins on penalty, so we'll take P11 with Idina Rui P12, Shawnee P13th with Dead Divine 14th. Squiggy Pixel will finish up in P15 with Bandit coming around the final couple of corners, and we'll gain some valuable points for the Cadillac team. Of course, everyone that finishes the race will get points for finishing. And of course there is points on offer for biggest gainer, which we may see when we go through the standings. But a cracking race, and some fine performances both in the dry and the wet. And the Mercedes team getting themselves on the top step. And congratulations to the long-headed Gunnar Ads. And gets the fastest lap to boot as well. Extra point for him. Driver days given to Magel with most overtakes. Might be the biggest gainer, we'll have to see. And here's your race results. Gunnar, fastest lap 1:07.5 and takes the win of the race with Hot Stepper P2. Only a couple of seconds behind Gunnar as well, so he was actually pushing. Benja P3, Skyglide right to the line, but just missed out and finishes P4. Terreds P5, P6 Dan Morris, and there's your biggest gainer. Dan Morris will get the extra point. 7th for Kessler, who gets P1 in the Challenger tier with Pit Magel and Danny taking P2 and P3. Miles rounding off the top 10. Phil Baggins P11, Idina Rui P12, Shawnee P13, Dedivive 14th, Squiggy Pitchell 15th, and Dave Bandit final finisher P16th. Carcass Fire, Cygate Knox, and AJ all retiring from the race. So big up to Dan, who's always in the chat. Great, you did a great race there, my friend, considering you're so negative. Biggest gainer from P19 up to P6. Good going. And if you that wet your whistle, please like and subscribe to our channel. Let's see if we can make it up to 170 subscribers soon. Lucky? No, you're not lucky, mate. If you want to catch more LOLR racing, we'll be back next Wednesday at 7:30 UK for the Div 1 boys and 9 PM UK for the Div 2, where we will be, for the first time, Madring in Madrid, and I'm bloody looking forward to it. I commentated on a race for the first time there last week, and it was an absolute crack, and I'm pretty much going to think it's going to be the same. So it's not one to be missed. I want a full house, and I'll see you next week. My name is Alex. This is Lights Out League Racing. Peace out.